in the final 90 seconds of overtime, this is what we talked about on May 7th. It was a Wednesday. In the final 90 seconds of the fourth quarter of overtime, while taking a shot to tie or take the lead, Tyrese Haliburton, up to that moment 2 weeks ago, was 10 of 11 on shots this season in the regular season or the playoffs. Okay? The Pacers were 2-0, down 7 with less than a minute and a half left. Every other team for the past 20 years was 1-384. The only one that had come back from down 7 in under a minute and a half in the playoffs was the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Los Angeles Clippers in 2014. So they had already done it twice this postseason. Yeah. And we said that other teams in that situation were 1-384. That's 7 with less than 90 seconds left. Last night they were down 9 with 59 seconds left.
Yep.
They're down 14 with what?
3 minutes left. 2 minutes.
3 minutes?
3 minutes left, yeah.
3 minutes
It
left.
was 121-112 with 54 seconds left.
121-112.
I thought it was over with.
I mean.
and then all hell broke loose.
This is when you knew the Pacers were coming back. This is when you knew. When Roser texted us, that'll do it.
And then I was like, maybe not. Yeah, what was it?
No, what did he say last night, bro? He said something last night.
I was like, that'll do it.
I was like, Roser, that's the most obvious thing.
He said that will do it.
No, I
he say?
texted at 9:35, and I said the Pacers just don't stop because they had got it to like 6 or 7. It's like, dude, what in the world? This was just like a 16-point game a minute ago. And it's a 6 or 7. And then Brunson got the layup, the easy layup, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that'll do it. I think it put it back to 9.
Nope.
It did not.
And then Nesmith hit another 3, and I was like, all right, well, maybe not then.
He went Super Saiyan mode, bro.
Do you know what's wild?
Real takeover.
And Josh Hart started falling all over the court.
I
He
have.
was falling around for
Many years, I would always, there was like a group of guys, whether it was former front office members or it was scouts or it was media members that do it for a living. Like when the draft would come around, I would always I would print off a mock draft and then I would call people and then I would say, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? Right? And then I would have every year that the draft mattered to us, I would have these little notes next to him, right? So I would know if it was kind of unanimous on this guy or whatever. And oddly enough, I had this thought last night. So there's some of them that I go back in, and there's some of them I was looking for some stuff. You know, I never throw anything away. I was looking for some stuff, and I ran by at some point I need to bring it in, and I ran by like an old ESPN mock draft that I had printed off, and then I wrote down all my notes. This was in preparation for. It was in preparation for the article that I wrote for The Ringer. What's it called? These guys will not fail. These guys will not fail.
Yeah.
Right? And so I have like different notes next to them, right? So like, for instance, the note I had next to Jaren Jackson Jr. was a guy told me might end up being one of the best in the probably ends up being one of the best in the class. You have to wait. You're not going to know until it's 4 or 5 years. So if you're going to draft this guy, just know it's 4 or 5 years before he's one of the best players in this class. He's got to develop. He's young. He's a reclass. He's whatever, right? You go down. And I remember like random ones, right? Like, so when I was flipping through it the other night, Terrence Davis, you remember the kid that played at Ole Miss?
Yeah.
It says next to him, should have played football. Some guy told me that the guy should have played. Evidently.
Played at South Haven, bro.
Well, and evidently he was unbelievable.
Really?
This guy knew he was a football player in the past, but he was like, he should have just played football. He's unbelievable. Anyways, all kinds of notes. The point is this. The reason that all ran through my head last night is because the one from the draft that Bane was in, I have written down, a guy told me the two best shooters in this entire draft are Bane and Nesmith.
Yeah.
He shot like
That's what he wrote.
52% in college, didn't he?
Yeah,
He said,
dude, he was...
like I had written on the sidebar of this mock draft, if drafting shooter, right? Like if you need a shooter. And so that was going to be my reference point for, because I didn't know. I mean, it's not like I sat around and watched a bunch of Vandy games, right? I had an awareness of Aaron Nesmith, but the guy said to me,
He shot 52% from the three in college.
that there were two guys there, and he's one that you had to wait on. I mean, he wasn't playing for the Celtics for the first couple of years, right?
Yeah.
But then he said, if you're drafting a shooter, the two players in this draft to draft are Aaron Nesmith and Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
And to wit,
Yeah.
that guy was right,
Dude,
right? Because, I mean, obviously, Bane has been one of the best shooters in the NBA.
Sniper game for sure.
And Nesmith, as I'm watching it unfold last night, I mean, that was so absurd to hit 8 of 9. Like, that's beyond Curry. Like, you would not expect Steph Curry to make 8 of 9.
Yeah.
Especially
he went nuclear.
Back to back too, bro.
Here you go. I've got all of them.
Running back,
Here's the Nesmith threes last night.
6 straight. That's wide open. Okay. Cha-ching. We'll take that. Up.
I love when Harlan says, he's a flamethrower.
Yeah, he
Step
did.
up, Cat.
He did give the
That's why they was
flamethrower.
yelling at Cat, bro. Step up. Another one.
Nesmith three. Good. Got it. Miles Turner, the rim protector, on the floor as well. Three. Good. Another one from outside.
That's a 4. That one.
Okay, that's the wild one, though, right there, bro.
He's on.
Flamethrower.
He's a flamethrower.
I don't know what the
We're in takeover mode.
there was.
You got heat check.
Heart slipped.
Reggie said, oh my goodness. That was crazy.
It's crazy.
6 straight?
4 of those 6 people going under on screens.
Oh, so there's a guy named John Schmelik, who's a big Knicks guy,
Yeah.
and he had to air it out this morning.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, no, he had to watch it back.
Oh, you had to rewatch the
Yeah,
game.
he watched it
Oh,
back.
sorry, guy.
Like, that's what's happening this morning for Knicks fans.
They're all watching it back.
They're having to watch it back to find out what happened. You remember I did this. And I know there's a lot of people going, this is the one they're going to look back on if they lose the series. You know, they had this, and now, you know, you got to beat this team 4 times, but you had them dead in the water on this one, and this is going to be the one. And we've been through this because of the fourth quarter blown lead against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yep.
Which it took me a while to watch that one back. I mean, we're up over 20.
Yeah.
It was the worst collapse ever at
We
the
led by
time.
27 in that game.
Worst collapse ever in the playoffs. And we lost that, and that was game 1. And then we lost a game 7 on our home floor in a day game. And it's crazy because this is what's wild about that. And hopefully this is not what happens to the Knicks, because I don't wish this upon anyone. That's 12, right? That's 2012. Because 13, yes. So 11 was the year beat the Spurs and then lost to the Thunder.
Right.
12 lost to the Clippers, and then 13 went to the West Finals.
Yes.
12 is the only one that Rudy Gay plays in.
It is.
It is. Because we had Shane Battier in 11. We had Tayshaun Prince in 13.
Rudy was hurt in 11, yeah.
And it was very, apropos. So, and we're watching Nick Young just knock down 3 after
Oh, my
3
gosh.
in that fourth quarter. And it's a collapse of all collapses. Here's what I'm saying. That's 2012. So, I mean, it is 13 years ago now. I don't remember anything except the collapse in game 1 and game 7. I don't remember anything about that series other than those 2 things. I'm not kidding.
I remember.
And I feel like I remember. But that's how traumatic it is. And in the end, as time goes on, it's the only thing that's going to matter unless they're able to win this series. They're going to the game 1 haunts you, and then you to the point where it's almost like they erased my memory of the rest of what happens. I have no idea what happened in the other games in that series.
I remember.
tough.
I don't know.
That's
I
tough.
remember the Game 6 Friday night in L.A. because we all watched it at Blind Bear. We had like their VIP room back there. Like we all of us, me, you, Gary, and our buddy Mark, all of us watched it back there, and we won that game. I can't remember anything about the game because we were also drinking a lot. And then I remember Sunday. As Celtics fans, the same thing. What do they remember about? What are they going to remember about that Knicks series that they just had? Like they're going to remember they blew two 20-point leads in game 1 and 2.
Honestly, and that's sports fandom. You only remember the trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I tell you guys, we had this discussion last week. I remember LeBron going to overtime and then LeBron scoring on Tillman.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember Dillon Brooks shooting us out of game 4 and us losing by 3. And I remember 7 because of Wiggins and Looney. But like most of them, like as a series goes on, you just don't remember most of the moments that happen in those unless they're like
traumatic.
Or like Ja's game winner against Minnesota,
Or the
right?
dunk-
And the Beasley dunk. And the Beasley
Right.
dunk.
That's
You
a
remember
moment.
that.
Like there's stuff like
But
that.
we came back from in Game 3 in Minnesota. Dude, we came back from like a big deficit.
Tyus
against-
Jones
It
3.
was Tyus
Yeah,
and
but like,
BC.
But I don't remember a ton from that game. Really,
No.
like I don't.
No,
it was so weird how they came
has
back.
It has to stand out like crazy,
Yeah.
and obviously this one stands out like crazy. So anyway, back to what I was saying about this John Schmeling. He has what was the original characters on Twitter? 144,
144. Well,
something like that. I think it was 144 originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bro.
Oh, he fired off
No.
Oh, he wrote an article.
Beyond
on the timeline.
like 2,000 words.
On
Yeah,
the
you can write
timeline?
dude.
Oh,
People start
yeah.
writing
Sorry,
articles
buddy.
on
Ain't nobody
Twitter.
reading
It's
all that,
wild.
bro.
Hey, I'm just gonna read you the beginning of it.
AI.
And he goes, I rewatched the final 6 minutes in overtime. This is the last I'm gonna speak on the Knicks. And then he writes down every single thing that happened. And starts it with, the offense was not the problem. The Knicks scored 9 points in the final 3 minutes, 17 points in the final 6:30, and 35 in the fourth quarter. The defense was egregious. Any way you separate the final 6 minutes, 33 points for Indiana in the final 7:24. 20 in the final 2:40.
That's insane. 20 points in 2 minutes and 40
Crazy.
seconds is ridiculous.
Tip your cap to Indiana for their shooting, but the Knicks still should have held on to win. And then he went through every 3 and then decided who were the culprits for all of these. And I was
going
like,
under.
I was
OG
like, this
going
is
under.
He at one point he writes he goes, I went through all of the threes that Indiana hit, and there were multiple culprits. On the first 2 Nesmith threes, Towns was way too far back on screens. Towns also failed to secure a defensive rebound, which led to a second 3. The next one was Haliburton. It's a deep pull-up. Bridges could have been tighter to force a drive given the score and time, but this was a very tough shot. Nesmith's next one comes off a catch and shoot off a Hart rotation on a pick and roll, not played well by Brunson and Bridges. Again, given the score, allow the drive. Do not leave the three-point shooter. Give the layup up. Not a 3, but Hart commits a foolish foul on Siakam on the baseline to put him at the line for 2. Completely unnecessary. Siakam was contained on the sidelines. Even with all that, they're up 9 with 59 seconds left. He says, then OG Anunoby plays perhaps the worst 60 seconds of basketball I have ever seen.
I agree. Hey, you had your girl courtside, bro. You can't do that with the stink in the arena.
He says on 2 straight plays, he doesn't switch or step up on high screens and instead hanging out well below the three-point line, allowing 2 rather easy Nesmith threes. Egregious from the guy that's supposed to be the team's best defender. OG bobbles an easily caught bounce pass from Brunson on the baseline that leads to a turnover. Should Brunson have made the pass or kept it and tried to dribble the clock out? I see the argument both ways. If he keeps the ball, he could have been trapped under the hoop and turned it over. It was such an easy pass for a layup, but ultimately I trust Brunson to get to the line and make 2 free throws and the game's over. Hart slips to allow another Nesmith 3. Bad luck here. Hart was playing it right and closed out hard. He just slipped. And then he says, then you have the missed free throws from both Towns and OG. Haliburton's miracle bounce, where he might have double dribbled, it says. I don't know. I didn't see. And then he goes through OT, and it just gets even more. I mean, it gets more egregious as it goes on. And I mean,
nobody thought they were winning that game when it went to overtime.
Who, the Knicks or the Pacers?
Like the Knicks.
Oh,
we
no
never
chance.
thought
Bro,
once
they
that game went to
sucked
OT.
the life
It's like,
balls out of MSG, bro.
all right.
When that ball
was
went up and went down, it was sucked the life out.
so they had Haliburton mic'd up. He was mic'd up.
He was mic'd up for this?
Yeah, check it out. I've got it.
Let's go.
This is last night. They choked.
Did I get the three? I didn't get the three. You get the three. How'd I not get back?
He was trying to aura farming, bro. He was aura farming, bro.
he's looking for Reggie.
Three? I didn't get the three. You get the three. How'd I not get back?
How did I not get back?
Because you could tell he wanted to stick a knife in them so bad. And that's the part I respect about him, bro, because like he making this undeniable at this point, bro. There was a lot of people like even me, I'm like, yo, he's corny, blah,
That was
blah, blah.
unbelievable.
Bro, you can't deny that, bro.
Yeah.
And then
That is-
he took to the press conference and talked about your aura farming,
Aura
as you said
farming.
it. This is him talking about it.
I wasn't like plotting on it or anything. Everybody wanted me to do it like last year at some different point. But it's just gotta feel right. And it felt right at the time. If it would have been, if I would have known it was a 2, I would not have done it. So I think I might have wasted it. If I do it again, then I might be. People might say I'm like aura farming. So I'm not. I don't plan on using it again.
You can't aura farm. I agree, Tyrese.
Where are we on the choke thing?
Oh, I love it.
It sucks.
But he didn't do it.
I tell you
It
this.
wasn't a proper like.
He
gesture,
was
but yeah.
because Brunson scored on damn near every possession in the overtime. Honestly, they should have won the overtime. The defense was so bad. I mean,
He had 43, bro.
huh?
Brunson had 43.
Yeah.
He had 43.
He had 43,
Yeah.
bro. And Cat had 35, 36.
Right.
They were hooping.
All right. So Brunson scores like over and over again, and let's just say it holds up. Okay.
Yeah.
And they win in overtime. That goes down as like the most unbelievable meme. Like it's
Oh, for
almost
sure.
like the Nick Young
The
shooting
shot going
in the
in.
right.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Why is he choking
if that is it was almost the most unfortunate. Like they had to win.
Yeah,
if
they
they
had
can you imagine if they didn't win?
But I mean, they technically
And
still
then that
choked.
happened?
They technically still
Look at
choked.
friggin'
though.
Reggie
Yeah, he was
Miller.
loving it. He wanted to go show off his tattoo, the belly button tattoo.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine being him in that moment? Because you could tell when the shot goes up. He like Kevin Harlan's trying to be like the announcer guy, but Reggie's like, oh my god,
Dude. And it bounces to the top of Madison Square Garden.
Yes, and I bet you can hear a pin drop when that ball was coming down. Whoosh.
As someone who did not have some kind of severe rooting interest, I lost my mind.
Me too.
I could not believe
I've
that.
texted y'all like 20 times.
Oh
I said,
my
oh
God.
my god, what just happened?
It was the craziest thing. I mean, look, I think he's going to tie it right here.
Yeah.
And then he
He said, screw
And
this,
he
bro.
looks up at
No.
the clock on the other end of
He said-
the other goal. He looks at the clock.
He said, screw this, bro. I'm going to put a
They
knife
choked. They choked. He said they choked. They choked.
Because you could have easily hit a floaty or something, bro. You could tell he wanted to put a
The
knife in there.
foot on the line.
And all the fans courtside, it's a 2!
It's a 2!
It's a 2! It's a 2! It's a 2, Haliburton!
Can you imagine trying? I mean,
Bro, shout out Tyrese Haliburton.
losing like that. And then you got a chance to tie it, and Brunson shoots an air ball, and then Towns clanks it.
That's tough.
Towns.
That's the part that people aren't bringing up, bro.
Yeah.
That happened.
You had a chance. It was one.
He airballed it.
airball.
Brunson
like,
airballed.
like by a lot,
and
bro.
Towns barely hit the front of the rim.
That means, Paul's lemon booty, bro. MSG.
And then Towns, I mean, he gets a good look.
He does.
Right at the top of the
He
key.
right at the top of the key.
He barely hit the
He
front.
was
Right
making
at
it
the top.
early in the game.
Bro, he hit one like that against the Pistons. That like step back in Detroit.
Hey,
And he bricked that one,
Tyrese,
man.
make it undeniable, my guy. It's hard to hate on you when you hooping like this. Like it's so hard.
I will say though, it was hard to like. All right, which do we fall on the side of, I guess, look, game 2 will tell the story. You certainly expect the Knicks to mash them in game 2. That's what you would expect, right? I mean,
I don't.
We've talked about the whole accomplishing what we came to accomplish, and that's the way sometimes these things go. Bro, they were mangling them. They were up 16 in that game. And they are the better team, is how that felt throughout that game. And then you have, I think if you're the Knicks, I don't think you're doing, I don't honestly think that they're nearly as woe is me as everybody talking about it and talking about how they should be woe is me and whatever. And I think that's probably because they are a totally veteran-laden team. I think they're looking at it probably and kicking themselves for sure. But also, as someone who's been around like veteran teams, they're a lot more. I've been around the young teams get shattered by that, by something like that happening to them.
Yeah, for sure.
The older teams, they're sitting around saying, if you're going to count on miracles, then yeah, count on miracles. But you're not. That's a 1 in a million. Truly, it's 1 in a million. You're never making those shots again. It's a perfect storm, and that's why we lost. And the next time, we won't leave it to chance. Yeah. I think that's what they're saying, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
that's what they're saying. I mean, I think you can. There's part of this. It's so insane.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That you, right? I think there's levels to it. When something is so crazy, you're able to compartmentalize and say, oh, we did that to ourselves. We missed the free throws. We didn't close out. We didn't. On the other hand, this guy just went 8 of 9 from 3. Like, all of this stuff is like 1 in a million shot that happened. And the next time, we won't leave that to chance. We saw what, we felt it. We know what they are. They know what we are. And the next time, we're not leaving this to chance. We're not letting go of the rope at all. We're not losing any kind of focus. Yeah. But that was also the luckiest ish that's ever happened in the world. I think that's what you're saying if you're them. Yeah. I don't, you might not necessarily agree. Yeah, but because that's almost this friggin' team's MO. I don't know how they do this.
It's the pressure.
It's 3 times.
It's the pressure, bro. If you watch into that game, bro, down the stretch, I don't know what it is about the Pacers, but teams can't get the ball in bounds. Yeah. Like you saw Brunson even like Brunson's throwing
how
the ball.
How about when he tried to throw it off of him from the corner?
Almost turned it over, like
bounced to the middle of the court, but there was nobody there except OG.
It's something about the Pacers down the stretch when they apply the pressure. It makes teams like flustered.
I think what happened,
and you know, I told you that quote, the old Gordon Chiesa, where it's like the regular season's about analytics, the playoffs are about toughness. And I was thinking about that last night because you would not look at them and go, this is some kind of overwhelmingly physically tough team, but god dang if they aren't mentally tough.
Yeah.
God.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Because I mean they're down like these insurmountable margins.
And they keep winning.
How?
Pressure, bro. Rosa, you texted us last night. If you keep applying pressure, eventually you're gonna break.
Because what happens is
they always want to play pressure.
I gotta find shot.
Yeah, human nature sets in for these teams, and when you get up a certain amount with like that little time left, dude, you don't matter with the pub game. You relax, and the Knicks relaxed. They did, and once they relaxed, like the Pacers
like
it's so cliche to say you have to play 48 minutes, but like you really do have to play full 48.
When you play the Pacers, you do.
And you know what's crazy? They were cracking with Deuce.
They were.
Yeah.
They were. They set him down.
And then they put Brunson back in with the 5 fouls, and Brunson can't foul anybody.
By the way, why does he get fouls, but he don't play defense? How does he get fouls? I was thinking about that last night. How does he get fouls? He don't play defense.
Yes, he does.
Come on, bro. He don't be trying, bro.
Jalen Brunson does play defense. That's not a thing with him. He's just little.